Class 9th, I am Ashok, your English teacher, present here with a new video for you. Today I will discuss the poem A Legend of Northland by Wafer Carey. So let's read the introduction of the poem and discuss the poem stanza wise. This is part 1. Today we will discuss only 9 stanzas, and in the second part we will discuss the remaining stanzas and literary devices. So let's begin with the introduction of the poem. A Legend of Northland is a ballad. A ballad is a poem narrating a story in short stanzas. A ballad is such kind of poem which tells a story in short stanzas, and in the poem all the stanzas comprise 4 lines. In total there are 16 stanzas in this poem, and these stanzas will tell us a story. Ballads are part of folk culture and popular culture and are passed on orally from one generation to the next. Folk culture is a story of any area and is known as ballad. Folk culture comprises of traditional stories which are passed on from one generation to next generation. The story is of the Northland area, the area which is near the North Pole. This exact place is not specified. What Northland means, the area in the northmost part of the earth, that is near the North Pole. Legend means a historical story, one which is very old and has been passed on from generation to generation. So this poem is a ballad, and a, this tells a story which comes from generation to generation in the oral way, and finally it is written in the form of poem. Now we will discuss the stanza first. Away, away in the Northland, where the hours of the day are few and the nights are so long in winter that they cannot sleep them through. So poet here tells us that in the region around the North Pole, that is called Northland here, the duration of the day is very less because its position is such that the sun's rays reach for a very less time. When this area is experiencing winter season, the duration of night is very long and the daytime hours are very less. In line 4, they refers to the people who live in this region. The poet says that the duration of the night time is so long that the people cannot sleep them through. If they go to bed, take a few hours of sleep, and then they wake up, it is still night time. He wants to emphasize on the fact that the duration of the night is very long. Now see the stanza number 2, where they harness the swift reindeer to the sledges when it snows, and the children look like weird cubs in their funny furry clothes. Sledges means a vehicle on runners for conveying loads or passengers over snow or ice, often pulled by draught animals. To harness means to tie the reindeers with a rope to a sledge so that it can be used for transportation. Swift means something which runs very fast. So in this poem, we read that the Northland region experiences severe cold conditions. It is a snowy area. The reindeer is an animal which is found in this polar region. People tie the reindeers to sledges and then the reindeers pull the sledges. He adds that the children look like young ones of a weir because they wear funny looking clothes made of fur, which is like the furry skin of a weir. So this was there in this part of the text. Now see stanza number 3. They tell them a curious story. I don't believe it is true, and yet you may learn a lesson if I tell the tale to you. In line 1, they refers to parents or elders and them refers to the children or the younger generation. The elders of the Northland region tell a strange and interesting story to the younger generation. The poet says that he doesn't think that the story is true. What if he tells the story to the reader? Maybe the reader could learn a lesson from it. The story gives an important message. So this was there. Curious means strange. Now see stanza number 4. Once when the good Saint Peter lived in the world below and walked about it preaching just as he did, Saint Peter is an apostle of Christ, a disciple or follower of Jesus Christ. Preaching means to give a religious talk. So these two words were there which might be difficult for you. So now see what was there in this stanza. The story is about Saint Peter. When Saint Peter used to live in the world and went around giving religious lectures to the people, just like all saints do, then an incident happened. Now, what was that incident? Now, read this in stanza 5. He came to the door of a cottage and traveling around the earth where a little woman was making cakes and baking them on the hearth. So, when Saint Peter was moving around the world giving religious lectures to the people, he reached the door of a cottage where a small woman was making cakes. She was baking the cakes in the fireplace. And now, what happened next? It is there in stanza 6. And being faint with fasting, for the day was almost done, he asked her from her store of cakes to give him a single one. Faint means to be weak or famished. So the woman was baking the cake. At the same time, Saint Peter said to her that give him a cake to eat, as he had not eaten anything the entire day. He was very hungry and was feeling weak. So this was there in this part of the text. Now see what happened next in the story. So she made a very little cake. What as it baking lay, she looked at it and thought it seemed too large to give away. So the woman was selfish. She did not give cake from her store. Instead, she started making a very small cake for Saint Peter. She did not want to share her things. But when she put the cake for baking, she looked at it and thought that this cake was too big to be given for someone. So this was there in stanza 7. Now see what is there in stanza 8. Therefore, she needed another and still a smaller one. What it looked when she turned it over, as large as the first had done. Needed means to make dough from flour. Now, see what was there in this part of the text. The little miser woman thought that the cake was too big to be given away, so she started making another smaller cake. When she looked at the cake, she again felt that it was as big as the previous one. Again, she was not ready to give this smaller cake to Saint Peter. Then she took a tiny scrap of dough and rolled it flat and baked it thin as wafer. What she couldn't part with that. Scrap means small amount. The third time, she took a very small amount of dough and rolled it. The poet says that she rolled and rolled to lay emphasis on the fact that she rolled the dough and made it very thin, like a wafer. Wafer is a kind of flat biscuit. and waked it. What she was so greedy that she could not give that thin piece of bread to the saint. So today we will discuss only 9 stanzas. That's all for today. Thank you. Have a nice day.